What's up, people? This is episode 180. I'm Jason DeBillius. There it is. Sorry. My man right here, David. Split screen, baby. Episode starts. Get ready, people. Buckle up. Episode starts right now. What's good, David?
That was good. I liked it.
Yeah, man.
That's
Kind
neat.
of a wong.
Yeah, no. I feel like somebody just lit me up.
Hey guys. Hey, thanks for tuning in. This is episode 180. This is the Option Podcast, along with my man David Mimoun.
Mimoun.
Oh, Mimoun. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
Dude.
No worries.
I'm Jason DeBillius. we're tongue twisting on names today. Yeah, episode 180. We're not gonna ease into it. We had a discussion that we were having before the podcast started, and that's where I'd like to pick up. We had we were talking about volleyball parents, right? And like some of these onboarding meetings for club. And I was telling you, I'm like the only coach in my club that has an open door policy, but the caveat and the catch, if you will, is they have to accept the answer, which is the reason why there's no open door policy, because the parent says like wrong answer, and I'm like, no, it's not the wrong answer, go away. So but the reason why I say it that way is because you're in the game long enough, you and me, because you have kids in sports. All your kids are playing competitive sports.
Many years.
But we know when a parent is asking a question where they're inherently curious about the answer,
Or they think they know.
or they're asking a question where they're waiting for you to give them the wrong answer, and they're like, well, I disagree, I just said that. So when parents start asking me questions that come from another place, I will answer it, or I will just say, you don't know what you're talking about.
That's fair.
You know, and I've had that with a particular parent that was telling me that I need to be on the sideline more, I need to cheer, I need to do this. But what she doesn't know is that there are different coaching styles. There are some coaches who yell every play during the play, free, go out, you know, out, in. And then there's some coaches like Pat Riley who are kind of here, you know, or Jeff. And it's crazy because Jeff Van Gundy is one of his Jedis, and he's completely different, right?
Correct.
And so my coaching style, because of the 13s and 14s, you want them, it's that psychological growth thing, and you want them to become self-sufficient,
Right.
without you guiding them all the way through. So the 13s, oddly enough, was a team I sat and they practiced self-correcting. So when the game came, I didn't say anything unless it couldn't wait for the timeout. If they're out of rotation, yo, hey, whoa, out of rotation. We ain't trying to lose the point. If it can't wait for the timeout.
Correct.
I
had a conversation. As you know, I took over the 12s team for this particular tournament.
Right.
And I went into it with him, and the night before we had a long practice. I said, yeah, you can stay 4 hours or whatever. I don't care. We'll just stay here and play and have a good time, and it was all that. And I said, listen, but I am not coaching you. I said, this is the end of the year tournament. I'm not your coach. I said, I am here to guide you and look at what we can do better, but I can't play the game for you. You're on the court, so I most assuredly am not going to try and coach you during a match. During a match, it's up to you. The coaches and the people that around you have given you the information. You have to use that information, and I can't save you, and I can't do it. I can call a timeout, but it's not going to make a lick of difference if you don't realize that you are the one playing the game versus the parent or the other coach or whoever it is. And they bought into that, and it was good.
Yeah, we also talked about you running a particular offense or a system of volleyball that a lot of experienced coaches have not only not seen before, but they thought was absolutely ridiculous. I'm one of them. I'm like, dude, that was ridiculous. I don't know why you did that. But then when you consider certain age groups and you consider what they knew coming in, what you know coming in, and finding something that works, and the common denominator, putting people in a position where they don't have to make a lot of moves to the ball.
Correct.
Right? The ball's more likely or not on the other team's offense. Everything's playing right into your hands, right? But say what I want, you want a gold, right? You want a gold in Phoenix, and you know, and there's a lot of people with a hell of a lot more experience than you that did not medal. So,
I've never coached a girls volleyball team at any level.
Yeah, and those are my favorite kind of people. The people that haven't coached at all, or the ones that coach so much that they forgot more than people learn. I always have a problem with everybody like in between. Not a problem, but like it's more challenging for the people in between. But
I've done
you
a
did a
lot.
great job, man.
Thank
Coach.
you.
Yeah.
Between being, I think I learned a lot as an offensive coordinator, some one of the top programs at Santa Monica High School, and just the years and years of watching. I was like the dad,
Right.
I was always the player's coach to a degree. I would protect you if you were doing it right and you wanted my help. I was there. So I think that it just taught me how to relate to certain situations, and so I could read things. So what I did best, and I think, was I just read the opposing team. Like I would just constantly, okay, that's that. And so when I see a game, I don't. I see the recall is all visual, so
Right.
I can recall the entire match for you right now in my head and literally just describe it to you as a moving picture, and it has it has been my savior in many ways.
Yeah. Well, I think that because we've had several really fantastic conversations, which is why when you're like, when am I coming on a podcast? I'm like, dude, are we there yet? Look, for the people listening, I don't mean to jump off for a minute, but if you're here thinking this is a pure volleyball podcast, fine. If that's what you came for, stay on as long as you can, but jump off when we start handing out receipts for other things we want to talk about. But the thing I've always liked about you, that's a lot of coaches that are missing, is that you are really good at presenting people their options. I'll give you an example, right? Like, let's say there's a ball that's out of system and a girl kind of goes for it and stops. And I go up to the girl and I'm like, all right, what percentage chance did you think that you would have of touching that ball? And I'm like, give me a number. I'm like 30%. She's like, oh, more like 10. I'm like 10. She's like, oh, okay, fine, 15. I'm like 15, yeah. All right, cool. So we got a number, right? 15, 15, 16, 15. Okay. So I said, here's my second question. What is the percentage chance if you don't go at all?
0.
It's 0. And you're really, really good. That's just forgive the layman and simple example that I would give. I'm trying to give to someone like you who presents people their options on so many great levels. So something you would like to add to that? He's like, nope.
No, I feel good right now. Hey, it's like, let me just bask in that. It was funny because at the very end of the match, we had our libero Izzy, who hadn't really played at all. I just had a better option, and going with the offense that I had installed, it was quick. And I called Izzy over, and I'm like, hey, Izzy, it's point match for the gold, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, she's like, but I've never served all year. I said, well, you're about to now, and you're about to serve to win. And she's like, but can I? And I'm like, well, of course. And I put her in. I turned around. It was a couple of times. I turned around a lot. I mean, I didn't really. I turned around.
Surely you looked at the scores table and was like, please just tell me if this freaking goes over.
I just was listening for the noise.
Oh,
I was blocking the scores from my players.
So if you hear a slap,
if I was just hearing it, I just was listening for the
right?
And it happened. So, and it happened a couple of times because Audrey, my daughter who plays on the team, she's hilarious. She's like, Dad, can I go with my one-handed Brazilian, or coach, one-handed Brazilian jump serve if I get 10 aces in a row? And of course, I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? Well, God damn, she always does it. Like, and then there she is, the 10th. So, and I'm digressing. My mother had passed 3 weeks ago, and I've been spending a lot of time talking to her about a lot of things. And I feel like I definitely feel she's with me in a weird way. So Archie gets up to serve the ball, and it's for, well, anyway, Izzy was successful, and I hope that she carries that forward, going, hey, wait a minute, couldn't do it. I didn't think I could do it, but I had her believe she could do it, and she did it. And that was really important to me. So Audrey gets up, and it's point match for the second match to get to the finals. And She's like, Dad, where am I serving? And my assistant's like, why are you telling her where to serve? I'm like, because she can hit the damn ball wherever I tell her to hit the ball. So I gave her the finger. You know, I didn't know that you called a 6 like this. I'm showing her 5 and 1. I'm looking like an idiot. Looking like
No, you don't. Because to me, they all look like idiots. Coaches with their stupid little clipboards. You can literally scream 5, and the other team won't hear you.
Well, that's what I said. So I tell her, and I say, okay, Audrey, you just go for it. And at that moment, I decided, I just looked up at the ceiling, and I turned around, and I heard her hit the ball, and I just put my finger in the air, and I just pointed to the ground. And as I did that, it was the ace for the game. And I knew every single.
You felt it.
I saw it, and it was great.
I like moments like that because we're talking about something that goes beyond volleyball. Like, don't think this doesn't seed into things that she originally thought she couldn't do off the court. That she's like, what the hell have I got? I got everything to gain and 0 to lose. If the worst that can happen is if I miss, I'm good. And wow, what a great teaching tool for your kids. Like, the first time they ever lose in life, most likely will be in a sporting event. The first time a kid will ever experience a loss of something where they wanted to win, and maybe they wanted it for themselves, right? Or maybe they wanted it for their team. So the first time that they'll actually deal with a significant loss.
Yes.
And I don't mean to say anything about people's family because I know your mom passed away. And
God bless her. She was wonderful.
Yeah. And my dad passed away during COVID. Didn't even get to bury him, but that's a whole other story.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Jason's mom also passed last week.
Yeah.
It's been a weird.
Jeez.
It's been interesting for us, huh?
Yeah, it's been, woof. But the cool thing about your story is it's very synonymous in a sense where something doesn't seem plausible. It's they didn't see it coming.
Nobody
there was
did.
this an immediate trust system, and you didn't give her too much time to think about it, because when you tell someone to serve where, they're not thinking about, oh my God, I hope this serve goes over, or oh my God, I hope this serve doesn't go long, or oh my God, I hope this serve doesn't hit the antenna. That little skinny thing that even if I aimed for it, I couldn't hit it.
I didn't want to tell her where to serve.
No.
She kept going, I'm not going to serve till you tell me where to serve at. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, well, I would look across the court. I'd find the girl whose eyes were shaking and her language was bad, and I'd be like, oh, that one, serve it to her.
Yeah.
And it worked. It worked. Yeah, I mean, we had a couple of girls. I mean, we had that. As you know, our team, our team was not.
Right.
They weren't great. They struggled all season long. Just different personalities, and we had a lot of talent, and they just, for whatever reason or another, could not bring it together. Right. And I just feel that, during timeouts, I was like, hey, I didn't call that timeout. So I said, I don't even want to talk to you. I said, if you're thirsty, go ahead and get a drink, otherwise just get back on the court. And they couldn't understand that. I'm like, this is your game. You can just go ahead and play it. And I remember it was funny, maybe I'm a terrible person. You know what? I'm a terrible person. I really am. We have a very strong player, Angelica. I think you know who she is. And a couple of things happened. And I said to her, listen, in warm-ups, I said, I don't want you hitting the ball at the floor. I said, I want you to hit that ball as hard as you can, hit any one of those kids' heads. And you do it over and over and over. I want you to scare the crap out of them.
Then we're all terrible people then.
Then we are.
So hell with that.
So she keeps coming back. So we're at the last game. And I remember I called them together and I said, I want you to rip out their throats, stamp on their heads, and wash their bodies of blood all over the floor. Audrey goes, violence. I said, yep. And Angelica goes, now that's the kind of game I want to play. And I knew we had it. Like, I just knew it wasn't ever, it was it, And I know that it was a little bit extreme, but sometimes that's what you need.
I think, like, we're almost the same age. But us growing up, we call that coach talk.
Yeah,
we call that coach speak, right? Yeah, I'm a kid from Brooklyn, Flatbush Avenue.
Canarsie.
Step on their necks. Canarsie, Brooklyn, that's right. You went to South Shore?
I went to South Shore.
I went to Dewey.
We got beat up a lot.
I went to, Yeah. I mean, I was just trying to avoid getting beat up during my commute, right?
Right.
You got to get past the Russians, Brighton Beach, only to get to Flatbush Avenue, which is predominantly black and West Indian. I'm a few shades lighter, right? My mom's black, but let me tell you something about black people. Black people ain't got time to dice up their white people. you mixed your cracker.
We had skateboards, the Kryptonics.
Yeah.
The only reason we rode them was for self-preservation.
Yeah.
It was a weapon. You know,
Yeah.
and that was life. You didn't know if you were going to make it to school. You know, when you got into a fight in the lunchroom, it was like the doors were locked and it was a 1,000-person riot. And it was terrifying.
Well, we have to stop right here and educate our audience on, I guess, a certain behavior we call the Brooklyn way. So, and you're going to love this, and I need you to interrupt me anytime because we're both from the same borough and we're both qualified, right? Big up to all my guys from Brooklyn. Mike Salick, one of the best volleyball players that ever come out of Brooklyn. I'm the second best. We have this virtue in Brooklyn where if someone picks on you, you have to fight them because our thinking, however logical or illogical, was if you let them pick on you, they think they get to do it anytime they want to, and that's going to be your whole high school life. There's one person you're trying to avoid, right?
Grade school, junior high, it didn't
where
matter.
if you fought the guy with these big win or lose, right? You take a pound of flesh, even if you lose.
Yes.
One, there's this respect, like they still might pick at you a little bit, but there's a respect they'll leave you alone, or you just become not an easy target where this guy's like, wait, I got easier targets than this. Now, I'm not saying this virtue is correct.
It's prison rules.
Yeah. Kind of, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not saying this virtue is correct or the right way to go. I'm just saying that was our reality.
It is.
That was our reality. Dude, I listened to Hot 97, and they had this poll. They were interviewing people like, if someone pulled a gun and asked for your wallet and your change, right? Would you give it to them, right? So they asked 15 people. 10 of them said yes. Like, my life ain't worth this or whatever. Right. And 5 people said no. Go ahead. All 5 people were from crazy Brooklyn.
But we had the 2 rolls of money. I had the 5s and the 1s in the right pocket. I had the real money in the left pocket. So I handed over the 5s and the 1s, and I just bounced. It was like, we knew.
People crazy. Like their principle meant more than their lives did. Yeah. And
I grew up around the Italians. So, the whole mob.
The cuisines.
Oh yeah. Eventually moved to Mill Basin, and it was all mob. So
yeah. Mill Basin's nice.
Yeah, it was nice, but we were Jewish people moving into Mill Basin with all those. It was an interesting experience, and I didn't speak English at the time, so I only spoke French, Arabic, and Hebrew, and it was tough. It was tough.
I used to drive through Old Mill Basin just to see the houses.
Yeah, along the water.
I didn't have my friend had a car, but we used to just drive that all the way up to Sheepshead Bay. Yeah. And it's weird that we stumbled on the subject of Brooklyn, but I would, if we jump off this, I want to stay on this just long enough to say that the people who got that kind of education and got a second education represent like some of the best of the best leaders in everything we do, right? The best politicians. Bernie. Yeah. Bernie's a Brooklyn guy, right? Yeah. Larry Brown's Brooklynese, right? He's one of the best coaches. Popovich, who was one of his Jedis, said, that's my guy. That's our coach, right? Daly, I think, spent some time in Brooklyn. Spike Lee, right? One of the best directors out there. Whoopi Goldberg, one of the best actresses out there. Louis Gossett Jr. From the 5 boroughs in general, but Lauren Bacall. It also known people as Betty Joan Penske. That's her real name. Brought up in Brooklyn, single parent.
You've got a great memory because I couldn't remember any of this stuff.
Well, I only knew that because theater major. So.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Where did Pacino grow up?
Interesting. Don't know.
He just
he sounds like a Hell's Kitchen guy.
Yeah, right.
He's got that accent.
The same, right?
Yeah.
Those together, Pesci just scared me. I think it was just his character.
Yep. Well, you've seen the movie Goodfellas, right?
1,000 times.
Yeah, Goodfellas. My stepfather, this Irish German guy, was the bartender at the place called the Bamboo Lounge. So if you remember the movie, the lounge, there was a lounge that they burned down for insurance.
Johnny 2 times. Get the paper. Get the paper.
Yes. That's what I was gonna say. My dad said when they went around the room and was naming this Pete the Killer. Hey, Henry took care of that thing for you. There's Johnny Teutons that said everything like,
Hey, get the paper.
oh, Fat Andy. Yeah. My dad said all of the names around the room were actual names of the people that existed. So big up to the director, Scorsese, and just people knowing that it's based on a true story. And sometimes you get fictionalized. My stepfather said no, those were literally those were the names before they burned down. That was the place in Brooklyn they burned down, and then the JFK heist. They moved to Queens back then. By then, wow. Think about that. The most amount of money, right?
Most money ever. Yeah.
At that time.
Yeah,
right?
Old money that they were just bringing back for exchange, I guess. So that is.
Jeez.
I wouldn't have given up growing up in Brooklyn for anything. In fact, I didn't want to leave. When we moved out here in 1980, I thought everybody was aliens. I was just ready to fight, and they were all like, "What?
Something's wrong with this guy."
Right? I'm like, "What are we doing? You're talking to me. Okay, let's just duke it out."
But isn't that time that was the time you realized something's wrong with you? like you're from this certain area, right? And you come here, you go to other places. You have to concede that
it was strange.
Normal people don't behave the way we behave, but at the same time, we're proud of it. We wear that like a badge of honor.
I didn't know who my friends were because they would talk shit and we wouldn't fight it out, and then there was no ending. So. And that's why I always felt like they're fake. Like, I don't know. Like, are you my friend? I don't know if you're my friends. It was many years of just bizarre behavior.
I will agree with you in a sense that when I moved here, and the guys, I live in Hermosa Beach. Someone walks by. He's like, "Hey, good morning, neighbor," right? And I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, living a dream." And I'm just like, "Oh, cool. Nice. Living a dream." I was like, wow, living a dream. Damn. Right. I'm in paradise, right? But a day later, same morning, same guy walked by. I said, "Hey, morning, how are you?" And he goes, and I just went, what the actual, whoa, I'm like, wow. Right. And then there's these instances where I'm at like a two-way street, 2 lanes here, 2 lanes here, right? And I'm behind some cars, the light turns green. And for 5 seconds, all 4 cars going this way, all 4 cars just stay there. And then they all go at the same time. And I'm like, now one car, you get it, right? Someone's on the phone. You're like, hey, hey, get off the phone. Let's go, we're going. But just 4 cars and like this computer program, this please wait thing, that little buffering thing. Yeah. And then they go. And I'm just like, ooh, Kelly, take me back home. Now, I lived in the Upper West Side back then, but I said, take me, Brooklyn, Manhattan, don't let me die out here, man. Take me back to Brooklyn and kill me.
I told my daughter it's the sheep mentality. You got one line that's got 40 cars, the other one has no cars. Yeah. If you're sitting in this line, I don't like you too much. Like, just get over there. We'll figure it out later.
Yeah. Well, the one virtue I liked about Brooklyn, and I think I could say this about the 5 boroughs, which includes Staten Island, is that when it came to doing the right thing, people put their differences aside.
Yes.
There's a kid, the kid from Amazon that was trying to unionize or whatever. He ended up getting fired, but that was a mistake because he got fired. So he used all this time to just unionize everybody else. And then finally they got the deal they wanted. They got the vacation, the paid sick leave, they got the break time, they got this. And you know what happens? You got happy workers. So they're more productive, and everyone wins, right? More productive, and you're more productive. You're making more money. These guys get paid more money, and there's a lot of politicians that jumped in front of the parade when all the work was done, right? You have the Republican guy, but you also have AOC, there for the ribbon cutting, but she wasn't there for the construction. And the reason why I brought them up is because this guy, when he was unionizing, he didn't have time to be like, okay, you voted for Trump, you're out, or you're for same-sex marriage, or you're out. Like when it comes to things that come to have to do with our preservation of life. Yeah. And quality of life. It's simple.
Keep it simple.
We all have to live, and we all have to put our differences aside. And this young kid, it made national news. Yeah. And Staten Island too, which is like the armpit of New York City, man. I'll say it like Dave Chappelle, yuck. Yeah. Except the Wu-Tang Clan,
The only way you get there is with the tram, the trolley over the bridge.
Yeah. So
that place was horrible.
did you still kept all your sports teams?
Yeah, well, I grew up an Islander fan. Billy Smith. I wanted to be Billy Smith. You know, we played that hockey in the gutter. Football was fourth car on the right, take a left. I mean, I'm surprised. You know, nobody cared if we made a dent. Um, I'm a Cowboy fan. I always have been. First game I ever watched was the Cowboys. My dad let me stay up late, so I was Roger Staubach, Tony Dorsett, and that's it. I've been a true blue Cowboy fan forever.
Oh man, wow.
Yeah, but yeah, the Islanders. I mean, but baseball, it's always been the Mets and the Yankees. I guess you could always kind of go back and forth. You know, I mean, Mickey Rivers. You know. Catfish, and you know, and who was the catcher that died? God, I love Thurman Munson. Yeah, oh my God, what a great team! Dave Kingman.
Jeez, wow.
Right. Seavers, he was my hero.
Tom Seaver.
Tom Seavers was my hero.
I'm actually just trying to do as many shares as I can on this live, so it'll come up on other pages. But
we've digressed, and we could talk about Brooklyn so people die.
Well, I'm a Yankee fan because I was told at the time that I grew up in Coney Island, but then I moved to Flatbush Avenue, and to my understanding, Lou Gehrig had lived there for 2 years and was commuting from Brooklyn to the Bronx for 2 years because his family was immigrants, and they were like, we don't want to be paying all that money for Park Avenue, all this wasteful spending, blah, blah, blah. And then finally management was like, look, for the money we're spending for the police escort to make sure you get on time to games, go to live on Park. So he convinced his parents to move. So
my favorite movie ever was
it
was the Lou Gehrig story. Yeah,
Pride of the Yankees.
Pride of the Yankees. I cried.
Gary Cooper.
Yeah, I mean, I still watch it to this day. That, Mr. Roberts. Yes. Love Mr. Roberts. Mm-hmm. You know, that kind of stuff. I'm a bit of a...
Yeah. Hey, look, for our audience, we didn't mean to get all black and white film on you guys, but Pride of the Yankees is an absolute tearjerker. Yeah. It is so emotional, and it wasn't just about his ascension for one of the best franchises in all of sports, right? For football, the Cowboys had that argument for football. I guess the Yankees had that argument for baseball, right? Babe Ruth actually played himself.
Yes, he did.
That's how old the movie was. Babe Ruth played Babe Ruth. So it's a must see. But it was not just about baseball. It was about this great love affair that he had with the woman who became his wife, and just this.
His mother.
Yes.
His mom's. The love affair he had with his mom.
Yeah, mom's was.
Yeah, it's just. Yeah, you definitely aspired to become him, and the way he went was. And the way he went out on the field. It's just,
Not to mention the conflicting forces of the sports writers, right?
Right.
Like, he promised a kid, 2 home runs instead of 1.
Right.
And the writers were like, he's never going to do it. He says, you want to make that bet double? Right. And at that time, $10 was like...
a lot.
Look, if you're in a movie where Babe Ruth plays Babe Ruth, that had to be like $5,000
at least. At least. And he didn't even want to make the bet. He's like, "Oh my God, I don't want." But babe,
dude, my dad's rent in Brooklyn. He lives in Sheepshead Bay. My stepfather. So it was $26. That's this is the '70s, so it had to be. Cents.
We found my mother's. I went into her safe. I found my mother's first lease with my father at 84th Street in Canarsie. It was $200 a month for a 3-bedroom apartment on 84th Street.
Wow, dude.
Their first lease and their marriage certificate, which was just crazy to me.
Wow.
Yeah, it was cool. It was
marriage
cool
certificate.
Stuff. I know.
My real father I never met. He was Air Force, so he was running around and man, what a fantastic story about my mom that I can tell someday. Just strong black woman. She got, well, I'll use 30 seconds. She got left with $1. Me and my older sister, she used that $1 to go on welfare. She was on welfare for 3 years, but then got a job at a law firm as a secretary. Later became a paralegal, put herself through undergrad school, put herself through law school, single mom, and then remarried. So when she married, it's not like she needed someone to help take care of these kids. She'd been through that. Strong black woman. Yeah. Look, if she was on welfare and stayed on welfare, everyone would have got it. She got left with $1 with 2 kids in Coney Island, right? In Cary Gardens, not Carroll Gardens. That's not to be confused with that nice neighborhood. No. a group of roaches that could not be stomped, exterminated, or beat down. That was a bad neighborhood.
Projects out there made
Yeah.
these projects look like
But,
vacation.
Yeah, so cool story about my mom, and that I guess
That's good to know.
without airing her, we don't get along now. But the respect and where I could have been if she didn't choose to go that way.
Yes.
Look, it was still rough anyway. I can't even. I grew up. Flatbush is a rough. It's nice now, but it's a rough place to grow up if you're mixed. If you're half black, you're half white.
Oh my God, those days.
Yes.
My God.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
fight for your life.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
But that's why I went to Dewey.
Yeah.
Because my zone schools were Boys and Girls, Erasmus, and Prospect Heights. In Prospect Heights, someone got shot the first day of school, and I'm like, I'm glad I'm in Dewey.
Right?
Yeah, Dewey. I was
James
waitlist.
Madison.
So I ended up staying in junior high school for 9th grade, so I could go to high school as a 10th. So I didn't get beat up as a freshman every day. So I went to IS 88, Peter Roger, and Park Slope.
I was at
That
Roy
had a
H.
9th
Mann
grade.
and
Yeah,
PS
so-
236.
which also had a 9th grade, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Right. So when I came here, I felt like I had to redo the 9th grade.
Yeah.
What the hell happened?
yeah, so yeah, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I got into art and design because you have to test for that. They ask you to draw stuff, draw a house, draw this, and I drew it, and I got immediately accepted to that. And I was waitlisted for Dewey. And my mom talked me out of art and design because she was like, "You're gonna have math and art, science and art, lunch and art," and she kind of, scared me away from that. But Dewey was
Living the
nice.
dream, right?
Dewey was had a campus.
Yeah.
How many colleges in New York, like high level colleges, don't have a campus? The one I went to Marymount Manhattan, they don't have a campus. I went to Hunter
Columbia,
College.
I believe, has one. NYU's barely has a campus.
Wow.
I mean, I used to hang at Washington Square Park and
Yeah.
walk in there and say, "Hey, can I come to school here?" They're
No,
like,
they got
"Well,
domes. They don't have a campus.
No.
The South Side, basically everything below 14th Street is considered their campus, right?
Yeah, I barely remember. I just remember because I left I moved out of my house at 16.
16.
My family was kicked out of Tunisia, North Africa, in
Okay.
62 for being Jews. So we lost everything, and my father was taken. Three of my uncles went to the American Army for Vietnam and immediately drafted. The rest, some went to Israel. But funny enough, and this goes back to Brooklyn, and how we got to Mill Basin from Canarsie was, if you remember Sassoon Jeans, that was my father. So my
Ooh la la,
Ooh La La
Sassoon.
Sassoon, right? So
Putting down my I ain't writing nothing right now.
right.
That was awesome.
So I grew up, with Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, and Phil Esposito. I mean, all these guys came to our house, and my dad used to walk out of 498 7th Avenue with boxes of $1 million boxes. They would just throw them in the trunk. I didn't understand this. All I knew was that I could go upstairs, 498, and get as much clothes as I wanted and give out Sassoon belts, Sassoon tits. I gave so much Sassoon stuff out to every girl I knew. I mean, I was swimming. That's all I did.
And you know what? It's no coincidence that Sassoon was like all the rage in Bay Ridge, South Canarsie, Bensonhurst, big time, right? Like everyone at the club. I forgot what the name of that club in Bay Ridge where they filmed Saturday Night Fever.
I can't remember.
But even in Manhattan, like the Palladium.
Yeah, well, I worked at
Tunnel.
Danceteria.
Yeah.
I worked at Broadway area, Regine's, Studio 54. And mind you, I was only 16.
Right.
But it was about how you behaved to that.
You could really fly under the radar.
You really could. Really could. And I really had a good time. I really did.
You had the time of your life, dude.
I hope my wife doesn't listen to all this.
No. Dude, I spent half my teenage life grounded for reasons I won't get in the podcast.
Oh my God, I would get grounded and run out of the house and send my friend back to get my mitt. That's how stupid I was. I sent my friend back. I sent my friend back to my house to go get my baseball mitt from my mom, and she's like, I could see it. Why do you want his mitt? Oh, I don't know. And I'm hiding in the bushes, thinking I'm getting away with something. It was just psychotic.
So you grew up playing like the big 3 or big 4 sports?
I played baseball.
You mentioned hockey too, so.
I played some hockey. I played soccer, which I hated. I was the goalie. I was never fast. I had an operation on my leg. So I played baseball. I was a really good pitcher, excellent batter. So I could crank the ball as a lefty. So I had those skills. And I took that through as far as I could. But in the end, I just started realizing at 20, I was offered a chance to coach the girls' fast pitch team at Santa Monica College. And I kind of grabbed onto that and
Nice.
Just thought, yeah. And then my friends would be like, "Hey, I never." We're all having kids, and like, Dave, can you help me? Can you coach my son's little league team? I'm like, sure. And then of course, my first mistake. We're out on the field. We're winning the game. I'm so excited. Out. Great. Everybody, let's go off the field. Let's go. Fuck it. Oh, 2 outs. Lose the game. I never forgot that again. I never wanted to be the reason that my team lost a game.
Yeah.
So now I puke before matches, and then my biggest thing is make sure I'm prepared and I know everything. There's nothing left to chance.
Yeah, when I was in Germany, I played on a team called Darmstadt, right? Actually, 2 teams. One was an Army team, military community team, and we're in the semifinals, which started Thursday night and was all night, all day, all weekend. It was side out to 15. So, and there was 3 out of 5 sets, just absolutely grueling. So we finally get to like the last set, and we're down 14-15. And I had an unusually like great day where I was the best player on the team that day, because it was a deep team and 6'1". I'm sorry, people, 6'1" ain't tall today. It wasn't even tall back then. But left-handed hitter like you, I'm hitting the left side and I'm on the right side this time, and everything turns slow motion, right?
That happens.
My setter looks at me. He's like, who this shirt is going to, right?
Sure Bill Cosby wasn't there?
So ball gets passed all the way to the left. He goes out of his way. It makes this rock star back set from position 4 all the way to, for a 5 ball.
Yeah.
And I'm up there, and I'm lefty, so I already have vision, range, and they leave me a whole bunch of line. And the double block is cross, and I'm like, I could just blow up this guy's line, but I wanted to do something more rock star.
Proof point.
I wanted to beat the double block because I knew it was clean. I knew no one would see it coming, shave under the armpits.
Right.
Perfect shot. Whoom. Out. Just wide. And when you're used to being on a winning team and you're used to winning and you're used to being in situations where you expect the ball and you come through every time, you never forget that moment that you blew it. That's still with me. And then all of a sudden everything's normal speed again. And I'm like, now all of a sudden everything's too fast. And when shaking hands and I'm just standing there and I'm not moving because I'm not in the matrix anymore. Because maybe a lot of athletes have this, and I'm sure they do. They operate under this thing where you operate under normal speed and everything else is moving like 3/4 speed. Yeah. And occasionally something will go fast and your matrix is like, okay, what the hell was that? I got to readjust, to the level. But and then people shaking my hand like, hey, you played a great game. And then, my captain's like, dude, if it wasn't for you, that wouldn't have been a finals or a semifinals or whatever. So, you hear a little bit of that.
And you're hearing blah, 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 blah. You wouldn't want to hear it.
I was in the Army at the time. Yeah. I got back 3:30 in the morning. I had 6:30 work call formation and missed formation, which is a big military no-no. And no one knew that I wasn't there. I worked in a motor pool. I was a generator mechanic, and I woke up because I didn't want to freaking move. And then when I finally remembered, dude, you're in the Army now. They were. Yeah. Well, they gave me a request for my release, but there was a time frame I had to fulfill my duties as a generator mechanic. Right. So I wake up and it's like 10:55. I missed 6:15 recall formation, and I just scared to death because the Army, you go to jail for something like that, right? Dereliction. So nobody or AWOL, no one noticed. So I walked into the motor pool, and I sat at my desk. Hey, what's up, Jay? How'd the volleyball go and this and that? And I'm like, cool or whatever, and this and that. And I'm like, do I just come up front and say, yo, I missed formation, guys? They were assuming that volleyball finished so late that I stayed at a hotel and I drove up that morning. They assumed that I just got back to the base, and I'm like, the Army's the one place where honesty and candor will get you effed. Yeah, it is the one place that will get you.
Yeah, don't raise your hand to volunteer. Just stay under the radar.
Did you say sir or drill sergeant? I said sir. They don't say, hey, you know what? You were honest.
Yeah,
you know,
no.
there's no path to redemption to
No, there's
honesty in the
not.
military. Yeah.
No, it's just a path to KP.
Yes. Right, or getting written up.
Yeah.
Counseling statement,
Yeah, the whole
or
thing.
Article 15, whatever.
My father played for the Tunisian national team.
Okay.
In the early '60s, and that's why he thinks that we have this volleyball blood. Maybe we do in our house. I mean, my cousins in Florida, they've had their jerseys retired. I mean, there's some, and obviously, I think just by seeing my kids, it's not all taught.
Super athletes, dude.
Right, there's something going on here, you know. So, but yeah, he played for the Tunisian national team, and he loves to tell the story about when the Yugoslavs came. And my father was the tallest guy on the team. He was 6 feet. I'm maybe 6'2" now, and he's like. He looked up. He's like, "Whoa, what the hell?" You know, like, and that was it. And they just knew they were gonna get crushed. I'm like, "Why'd you even bother going out?" He's like, "Yeah, we had fun anyway." David, he talks like this, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of his favorite stories. David, they played the Tunisian national team, and the Yugoslavs, they were giants. And I was like, "Oh, Dad,
They really are giants.
they were giants,
Yeah.
giants." So.
Now, there's two kinds of big people, all right, for educating an audience at home. Like, when I played, I'm on a court, it wasn't unnatural to see someone 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", and because I had long arms, my wingspan is 6'8". Not trying to make this about me, just trying to put it in perspective.
It's okay, make it about you.
All right, cool. I think I will. When you're on the court and you're playing them, you don't really see the height difference because you're playing whatever, and then off the court. You know, people will shake hands or go to dinner. It's like, oh my God, these guys are huge. Right. And then the other type of tall person that's like 6'10" or whatever, where their presence is known on the court. You're just trying to touch a ball and set it, and you have hands trying to block a possible hit on two or whatever. I'm like, wow, like a different stratosphere. So,
and that's the men's game. But in the women's game, especially at these younger ages, big girls can't jump.
No,
they can't jump. And so, you know, whenever I'm with the team, I'm always like, they're not going to be able to jump. Like, you know, if you got some, like Madison, my middle daughter who's coaching at the club, she's 5'9".
How tall is she? 5'9". It's perfect.
She's 5'9". Yeah. She had scoliosis, so she should be like 5'10", 5'11". So I call her Monkey Moo or Maddie Moo. Man, she's a knuckle dragger. You know, her arms and legs are the height of a 5'10" to 5'11" woman, but the rest of her is shorter.
We gotta measure that wingspan, dude. We gotta find out.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's like 7'6". It's ridiculous. We've done it. It's like incredible. And she would we played Long Beach Mizuno in 16s, and they had 61 athletes on the court. And I'm like, what are you guys even doing in our pool, right? And the parents are like, yeah, we don't know either. And so I'm screaming at Maddie, just protect yourself. Prepare to defend yourself, you know. She gets up there, just blocks the ball, like, just comes straight down. Of course, that's where I cut off the highlight because the libero got it. But still, you know, Madison.
Do you know what men's and women's volleyball have in common? The block is probably the most satisfying move for either gender because what you're doing is you're taking a hitter and a hitter's attempt to kill you, right? Yeah. With their best shot, maybe their money shot, maybe a high line, this, that. And you're taking something that could be their best shot or close to it, and you're shutting it down.
Yeah, you're taking it
away. And you feel like for that moment, you're snatching someone's soul. And I think a lot of volleyball players will agree with me. It is one of the most satisfying moves.
The crowd loves it.
Yeah.
You know, and I love it because you've now taken away that offensive option. That player now has to think twice. Mm-hmm. Am I going to hit that ball again? The minute you get him thinking, you got him.
Yeah. Well, thinking twice is always going to be the challenge when you get blocked, right? Yeah. Like, there's a particular player out of Long Beach State. His name is TJ DeFalco, right? It's All-American, repeat champ. So he finished his career under Alan Knipe as a repeat champ. So he's on the Olympic team, right? And you know he'll get a kill and he'll yell, but his yell lasts a little longer to get the attention of the people and know I did that to you. And there's certain teams you do that to, and it makes them mad and makes them play worse. And then there's some teams you do that to, where it's given Popeye spinach.
Yeah.
Right. So, the United States, you're playing Italy, you're playing Russia, and you're playing Brazil. Those are the 3 no-no teams. Yeah. If you get a kill, celebrate a little bit. Right. Nothing that's gonna linger. Right. That's gonna make them. Put whatever differences they have, like, because sometimes when you have those fiery teams, and no one talks crap to them. You know what happens? It's if there are a series of mistakes, they start turning on each other.
Yeah.
And what you don't want to do is say anything across the net that's like, we totally forgot about why we're mad at each other.
Yeah.
All this energy is now we coming after you. And this kid got roofed. He got roofed out of the Olympics. Now, I respect him because when he got roofed, he kept swinging and he kept that same energy and he kept that same fire. Yeah. And for someone like that didn't go off crying like a little girl, he'll always have my respect for that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He came on the world scene with a chip on his shoulder, right? Long Beach State, you're touted as one of the best players in the country, right? But man, you got to take a trip overseas for men before you start. Yeah. You got that chip. Yeah. That chip will get knocked so far off your shoulder it'll land in Japan.
It will. I mean, even this weekend, I had to stop Angelica and Audrey from doing it, and I had to call them in. I'm like, you are not to do. I don't want you to look over there. Mm-hmm. Don't give them the power. Don't give them the energy. They're down. We're killing them. I said, you're going to look over there and disrespect them?
Yep.
And now they're going to come back and they're going to kick the crap out of us. So I said, you calm down, you turn around, you give them all the respect in the world, you don't give them any fire. And they bought it. I was very pleased that they bought into my craziness. And they understood, because I've seen it. Mm-hmm. I've seen teams at 24-12 say something stupid, and now it's 26-24.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of it. As an official, I've seen a lot of it.
Control chaos. Yeah. Control, that's what you bring to the table. This is why I love having you on this podcast. And I promise I'll get you to talk as much as me.
Oh, I can talk forever.
But controlled chaos is very risque because we both know it could go another way. But when it goes your way, it's almost transcendent. You got people walking by that don't even care about volleyball. All of a sudden they care about volleyball, right? Yeah. That's control chaos is transcendent. Yeah. I'd like to just repeat that. So if anyone has anything from this podcast, or we're just talking,
because I felt it.
We're just talking nonsense here.
We went for a team that couldn't win a single match, and I think we won maybe three matches the whole season.
Right.
To winning 4 straight after I got them to buy into what I was saying to them. Like you're going to, like I said, one of the kids, Maori, like she just had no confidence. I'm like, oh, you got this, you got, and just working it. It's like once you give them the feeling that like they are amazing, and you let them go, they'll surprise you. A lot of people will surprise. I have not yet seen a person who I've given that power to give it back to me and say I can't handle it. Because I said to them, I'm going to let you make 5 mistakes. I'll let you make 6 mistakes. I'm not going to pull you off. I said, but if you really, really feel like you can't get your head back in the game, raise your hand. I'll take you out.
Right.
None of them did.
No, at this level, you allow them to work through the mistakes because they don't have a full circle moment if they don't start the circular action.
Well, what did Jason said? Paralysis by necessary analysis.
Paralysis through analysis. It means that you're getting so much information that you can't do anything.
God, we love that comment. That
paralysis through
was
analysis.
He said through necessary analysis. That was a dinner joke around my family for a month. I love that saying.
It's an MMA. A lot of MMA fighters use that.
Really?
Because you have this game plan, and sometimes you look at too much game film, and then something doesn't go your way, then something else doesn't go your way, and you're like, wow, I had a plan, and I just got hit. Like Mike Tyson says, everyone has a plan till you get hit. I had a plan, and I got hit. And then they freeze.
So the first bullet's fired, then the whole plan goes out the window.
You're freezing. Yeah.
It goes out the window.
Goodbye.
Yeah, like, oh, what? No.
Oh, my God. No. So, whoosh.
Yeah.
So paralysis through analysis.
Yeah. So I think that team was guilty of doing that. They also played very scared. Mm-hmm. They didn't believe in themselves. And that was what I tried to show them and give to them. And then, of course, playing that weird 6-3 zone, which... It was just crazy. I mean, I don't think, and you're right, it probably wouldn't have worked at
It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Thank you so much.
But listen, who's the laugh? Who has the last laugh here?
At 25.
The guy who won the goal. Who has the last laugh? The crowd listening. Say it with me. Yeah. If you won, they can't say nothing. No. and
I had bounced one parent going, my God, they're so much better. Yeah. And I'm like, no, they just know their job. Before they were confused, like, oh, am I this, like they didn't want to, like, I am the setter. Oh, no, you're not. Well, everybody has to be the setter. So, but at this age, you really, in my opinion, it could be wrong. You have to give a child a set, something to work on, to focus on. Like, this is my spot, and I'm not going to, and if I make a mistake, I'm not going to get pulled out immediately.
Yeah, and just enough information.
Correct.
Where we were
Correct.
talking about
Right.
paralysis through analysis.
Right.
So
They're 10 years old. They're 11. They're 12. You can't give them more than 7 minutes worth of information.
no,
You know, I had 16-year-old kids on the football team, we used to hire these D3 coaches to coach as head coaches, and they'd be like, "Dave, your offense is too simple." I said, "I'm only giving them as many plays as they are years old," and that was it. If you're 16, you got 16 plays, and that was the whole game. And we just ran it back and forth, and whatever it was, and it was very effective. But then these guys would come in with these crazy, you know, making all these moves and rocking their body, and it was like, we got beat 56-0, 65-0, and nobody could figure out why. And I said, well, at college you had 3 guys that were amazing at every position.
right.
High school, you got 1.
You really
maybe
do,
2.
yeah.
It's the same thing with club volleyball. And at this stage, we're trying to find the ones that are going to last at 16, 17 years old.
Right.
Because, 70, 80% won't be here.
And that's why beyond nationals and the soirees and the Red Rocks, all the time around it is the most important, because they're still figuring it out. They're growing psychologically. They're growing intellectually. They're growing literally, right?
Yeah.
Physically. And you know, am I too tall am I not tall enough to play middle for college? Is there a life after volleyball? All these freaking questions that they dedicate all their time in. And it is the thing I think that you do better than most is you really, really just, you do it, you compartmentalize it. Yes. You have these little boxes that they got to open this one. All right, this is boom. That's my Brussels sprouts box. That's my grilled chicken box.
Keep it simple.
And it's weird because I think everybody should take classes or be taught that or at least be mentored by someone that understands that. Yeah. You know, I was always a good men's coach because I had 2 really good mentors. Mario Trebic, who coached the Olympic team in the Netherlands,
nice.
Barcelona.
The Orange.
And later on won the gold in 1996. He was the assistant coach, 84 women's U.S., and assistant coach Soviet Union, 88. So he has 3. He's responsible partly for 3 silvers and a gold. And
that's incredible.
And like you said, you could know X's and O's, but from the neck up. So I became a good men's coach under him, but the dynamic I was missing for girls. And you take it just far enough where you don't go over, and you're really good at this. And this is what I was lacking that I didn't learn till like year 10. You never say anything to a girl in front of the team that will make the rest of the team vilify her.
Correct.
Camaraderie and sisterhood.
Yes.
As far as the order of importance is number 2, 1, or 1A for girls volleyball. Yes. And I couldn't figure out why. I'm like, oh my God, these girls are doing everything they ask and they still suck. You know why? And I didn't figure that out because men, right? You kick them in the ass and they look for the leader or they lead, women, and then boom.
Women are pack animals,
right?
In that sense. And I'm not trying to be sexist, but,
right? And
men, we prove ourselves by, I beat them up. Leadership. I'm the number 1 guy. Okay, fine. Everybody's all right with that. Mm-hmm. With women, if that starts happening, it's over. So I mean, you have to rein some people back.
Is that something you were mindfully aware when you started coaching girls?
Always. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just seemed innate to me as maybe the caring, they just emotionally they were always actually more mature than I. Right. So I felt I could learn from them, and I think I was lucky to start with a girls fast pitch team, which girls fast pitch is slow and boring. Let me tell you, this is the worst.
In a coma.
Oh, it's horrible. It's just horrible. No, I've been lucky. My son played. He was one of the top long snappers in the country. He got recruited to Alabama. We met Saban. We went to Tuscaloosa. He looked at me. He said, "I'm like, so you going?" He's like, "It's too hot."
Right. Oh, geez.
It's too hot.
It's like, what do you want me to build you an igloo? No,
right.
Too hot.
Right. And that's something that I said and that I learned. It's like you never know what a kid's gonna do and why they're gonna do it. As much as you think you're guiding them correctly, it could be wrong. But I prefer the women. Because they play a technical game. Women's soccer is better to me. Women's hockey, in some ways, is better to me. I enjoy the technical aspect of all sport. Just the beauty of the ballet of football. So other people see chaos. I see 11 players dancing amongst each other. The Chicago Bears with the ballet classes, and that to me is the beauty of sport, not the. But more the interaction and the way they move.
And this is why technique in sport is so important, right? Because in order to have that controlled chaos, in order for your athletes and your sports to be transcendent, they have to look at that and say that's interesting or that's beautiful, right? Like, I have a lot of people, like when I was coaching a lot of the guys, like peppering, watching them pepper, they would just stand straight up and they would just curl their arms. They would J-hook because their version of warming up is something that their coaches taught them was unnecessary.
Right.
Like, oh, peppering's a waste of time. You hear coaches say that. Oh, midline passing's a waste of time. That's a waste of time. Oh, that, you know, oh, science, studies show, right? And we're going to get in the study show in a minute. But I told them this. The game is more beautiful and attracts more attention when they see a technique that they can't do and they want to understand it and they're intrigued. So anyone can pass a ball like this and cradle, and if it goes to the target for the volleyball faithful, right, it looks like, oh, this guy's just out there cruising, he's having a good time, it comes easy to him. Or you can do this, right? Sorry, this.
Right.
Flat platform, extended. A lot of people can't even have their forearms together like that, right? And they watch you hold at the end. They watch you finish. And then they see this, something that you said that looks like ballet, because you described it as football. I can make every single argument for men's sixes. Yeah. It's this powerful, fast, controlled, chaotic game that if it's done what I call right, I mean, there are many ways to do it, but the right way, that's how you get butts in seats. That's how you get mixed martial arts. Yeah. Watching the art. Right. You know, right? There could be two people against the cage and they're just resting and the fans boo. Or you could see someone trying to go for like a double leg, trying to get a hand under, and you could see the hand fighting. Yeah. You could see switches, and then all of a sudden everyone's engaged. Yeah. You know, you watch mixed martial arts in Japan. Like someone gets taken down when he finds a way to get back up. The Japanese all stand and clap their hands and then sit back down. Like, whoa. You know, and Tunisia too, right? Volleyball, right? Like, you see like a crowd when a kill comes, they'll stand up and they'll sit. They appreciate it. They'll, you know, but
the men's game, even in high school now, the only thing I think that they've lost is the first pass. They've gotten away from the bump pass and they've gone strict to the finger action, and I think it's to the detriment of the game for them.
Yes,
it makes it worse.
Well, to the detriment of the game because at the highest level, no one's passing like that.
Yeah, you're gonna kill yourself.
You nothing's gonna go through the forearms, right? So things can go through your hands, you know. Yep. Also, trajectory wise, when you're passing from up here, since we're talking about the science and court vision and peripherals, the setter does lose some peripheral vision when you're taking something up here because it's coming down or it's coming here. Where if something's going up and down, right? I mean, you could literally do this and look at back at the ball and get your peripheral vision back. See the middle even. So
they have to have full vision.
Yeah.
You know, where's that block coming? I always tell Algie, you know, where are they? Where's the block coming from? Make sure you're passing it out of the block. I mean, the reason I made Audrey, my daughter, a setter was because I've watched so many teams with bad setters that only want to set their friends and so they don't share the ball and the team implodes. Right. And so I said to her, from day one, I said, you're going to love everybody around you. You're going to thank your hitter for hitting your ball, and you're going to thank the passer for passing you a good set. Yep. And you're not going to ask for anything back. And to me, that's what makes a great teammate.
I agree, and that's men's versus women. Like, I can watch an Olympic Games. Like, again, I was in Barcelona just to watch the first match, but went back to Germany. And when they do like all tournament team and this and that, for the men, I already know. Right. And the women, you don't have any idea because it's a team sport. You don't have any idea which player is going to stick out the most. There might be some animated, like Cuba back then was good. And they had a girl named Mara Luis. She's 5'6" and can dunk a basketball. The youngest are like 11 children. This just badass Cuban.
Spud Webb of volleyball.
Yeah, and just boom, you know, and did a lot of things and hit the ball and performed in a way that a lot of men that identify with being a male player. So, you know, she was an easy MVP if they won the gold, but really, you go on a general level, like, you can give it to all 6 girls. You can't, easily. but you can, you know.
I mean, I've found just watching that I've had to tell my daughters especially that the oppo, you want to score. That's the point. That's the position you're going to get most of your points. You're up against their best offensive player, who by virtue is probably their worst defensive player. So to me, I really want to develop that setter oppo. So to me, a perfect team, like if I was a coach and I'm recruiting, I would not recruit just an opposite. I would recruit a setter opposite, a setter outside, a setter libero. You know, which goes to my crazy idea, but I want them to be able to do both and maybe more. you know.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
I'm nuts, so there it is, you know.
well, think about how far volleyball has come, right? In the 90s, there was a back row quick set.
No.
There weren't people jumping from the back row quick set. Well, there's a guy in Penn State named Ivan Contreras, and they had 94. They had upset. They beat UCLA, and he was one of the first people that I saw that ran that. In the Olympics, you saw Timmons and some guys run kind of like a two ball, but like in these advanced blocking systems where people are just picking up stuff, it was not very hard to pick up, you know, which is weird because you can, if you run it right, you can run it like an X play. You know, like you don't, like the X play doesn't even exist anymore because the athletes have learned how to hit the back row quick.
We ran an X2 actually because Maddie said to me, "Did you run the X2?" I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah.
She's like, "You did?" I'm like, "Yeah."
But a straight X play is awesome because the outside blocker can't come in because the outside blocker can't jump over the middle that just went up and down and missed it. So you do it right, man. It's at that level, at the club level and high school level. It gets you out of row one, which is one of the more problematic rotations. Like, it's very ironic that most coaches start their teams in row one. But statistically, it's the rotation you give them the most points to get out of. So I've always been confused by that. But
I let Audrey make most of my rotations. I'm like, you know, so I'm like, okay, listen. I had two sheets. I had my serve. If we lost serve, if we won serve, I had two different sheets for two different setups, and it worked great. But I mean, going back to the technical part of the game. And then you mentioned Brazil, and maybe I'll go back to Pele, who was amazing. And, you know, the Brazilians played with Jenga, is what they called it.
Yeah.
And they were laughed around the world. Like, you know, the Dutch thought they were idiots. And that's, you know, when Pele came along, I think it was in 58. And they went back to their roots, and they played with a freedom of motion. And they were allowed to just be themselves. And I think that was a lot of my style for this last weekend was be yourself. Don't worry. There's no mistake you can't fix. And if you made a mistake, find out why you did it and then fix it. Because I'm not going to tell you. So I think I went off base a little bit. And got a little bit confused.
No, because you're connected to something where you have something that can carry you over that goes beyond the physical, right? No. But then the challenge and the reason why the Dutch laughed at it is because they're like, that kind of Jenga, as you call it, they believed was not sustainable for an entire match, right? Now with that being said, if you can make that wave like just big enough where it doesn't crash, you can make that wave ebb and flow from pier to pier, from Manhattan Pier to Hermosa Beach. It's a hell of a rate, yeah, right? And for people that have this dichotomy between just staying cold or your wave will be too big when it crashes, and that's a real thing too, right? Because we have this old saying for indoor volleyball, for every 5 points you get emotionally high, you're going to give them 9 on the low. Right. Because if your wave's too big, it crashes and you can't recover. But Jenga is about taking that and sustaining that. Yeah.
Using your roots, using the dance of life.
Right.
You know, that ease of movement, that flow of movement. And it can be applied to just about anything.
Well, Pele was a unicorn, right? Because he had, his wave was big enough that it was sustainable. And you're going to run into that kind of athlete where you're like, we need to take him to the lab. We need to take him to the lab and like pick him apart and understand how that's done. You know,
but he set the course for Ronaldinho's, for the the Messi's. The list goes on. I mean, even to look what we watching hockey this last season, Edmonton, Dave McDavid. Yeah, you know, like these guys are just operating at a different speed, right? And there's nothing anybody can do about it. You know, Gretzky, of course, was one of the first, but you can go back. I mean, pick any sport. Yeah.
Well, sustainability, it's no surprise that the guys who don't allow their wave to get big and more cold actually do successfully too. Like Karch, who was like the best player in our sport historically, was a huge introvert, you know, but...
Didn't he go to Pally?
No, he went to UCLA. No, Pally?
Yeah.
Then UCLA.
I think he was in high school with me.
He won 3 out of 4 titles at UCLA. Yeah. Then won the 84 Olympics, indoor 88, and then 96 when Beach got introduced, he was the first gold medalist, him and Ken Steffes. But it's weird because as introverted as he was, you can go on YouTube and find some ridiculous explosive moments where maybe he just kept everything boiled up so much inside that it had to blow up somewhere. And I'm actually going to look it up while we're talking. There's a video where Karch lost. He disagreed with a call and basically ripped down the entire net system. It was Karch Karai tears down net. I hope I could just find it. Oh, there it is. I found it. Let's look at this together. Let's make sure we pay our bills.
Over 6-6. Right. Championship point number 5.
Right here it is. It's up here.
Oh, you got it.
Now watch this. Now, I want to see that again. Let's throw that again. Now, the previous call, that was called 4 hits. And I'll explain in a minute. And there's the block. And watch Karch again.
So he's upset about the last call.
The one before that led to match point. Right? So, the story behind that is in beach volleyball, block counts as a hit.
Yes.
So there was a block where someone hit cross court, and I think Karch got a dig, and when his guy set him, and when Karch hit it, the ref called 4 contacts, and everyone's like, and he's like, he touched that. He's like, no, he didn't, and then the next play, that's what happened, and Karch was still boiling inside him, and then
should have called a timeout.
That was a small setup. That was a setup where the ref's ladder was connected to the pole of the net. So when he tore down the next system, the ref had to jump and make sure he landed properly.
I hope I never got myself in that situation.
Look, I was never in that situation, but there was definitely a time in New York where people came to the games just to watch me coach to see what I did next. I was that guy.
I'm interested to see you coaching. I heard you got red carded this last season. I'm like, what could he have possibly done? In fact, in my whole officiating career, I have never handed out a yellow or a red.
I think what I said was, and I'm trying to remember because I did this twice. I got a yellow, and they asked me what the yellow was for. I asked them what the yellow was for, and they're like, misconduct. You're still talking to the referee. I said, misconduct? How was that misconduct? And she's like, do you want a red? And I said, yes. I said, in fact, let me get my money's worth. Why don't you draw a joker on that yellow, okay, and put it in your back pocket? That's misconduct. Now I'll take my red. She gave me a red.
Yeah, but that first should have been.
I lost a point, and it looked like, oh, this juniors coach doesn't know what he's doing. The guy with the Yankee hat and attitude. But what they don't know, where they don't get the joke, is that losing that point galvanized my team to win. Yeah. We won that. We lost. This is rare, and I'll let you and keep that note. We lost the first set. This has never happened. 25-3.
Oh.
And won the next 2. This is against Surfside. It was our opening match against Surfside. And I'm yelling at the ref because I'm like, she says, you're yelling at me. I'm not yelling at you. I'm raising my voice because we're in Anaheim Sports Center or wherever the hell I was, or what used to be ASC or something like that.
American Sports
Center.
You're at the Premier Gym.
Right. But you can't, I'm yelling because you can't hear me. So, and I talk with my hands, so it looks aggressive. So we lost the first set 25-3. We're down the second set, and the red was exactly what the doctor ordered. And I know there's coaches that are there, oh, you could have done something better, or growth mindset, and this and that. And I'm like, how about you do it your way, and I'll do it mine? Because I'll tell you this, there's no way growth mindset is going to allow you to lose 25-3.
So you got a yellow from the R1 or the R2?
The R1.
Well, the R2 probably asked for it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
As referees.
But I've gotten them before. Look, yellows mean nothing. You just get chewed out. I've been chewed. Right? We're both ex-military. You've been chewed out. I've been chewed out before. Right? We just get chewed out.
I'm going to go home and get chewed out.
Yeah.
I'm married.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
So your wife got a yellow waiting for you?
Oh, yeah. No. She gives me a red every 5 minutes. Go to your room. I'm banished. That's why I have 2 huge TVs, so she can watch what she wants and I can watch what I want. Because if I had to watch The Real Housewives, that makes me upset. I said, honey, how do you watch that crap? I'm like, all they're doing is yelling. It's making me mad.
But it's her entertainment.
But going back, as an And I've talked to other officials, and you know, it's how we control the game,
Right.
as an official. So my first rule is do no harm to the players. They're the most important people on the court to me. So I don't really care about you. The game I'm calling is so that it's fair to both sides. So yeah, I may send the ball up on a redo a few times, and I'm not happy about it because to me I feel like maybe I failed. Like even that one call that I didn't get right, it eats me and eats me. So I try and be very perfectionist, but a good referee, a referee that has control and has a mindset of doing what is always right rather than just doing, then they're on a power trip, you'll never get a yellow. You'll never get a red. They'll understand the passion. And I understand the passion. As
Yep.
long as you're not cursing,
Right.
as long as you're
Yeah.
not hurting one of your players, that's a huge no-no for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are, like you do anything that's like, you say anything negative to them that's going to hurt them mentally, you're out. You know, you're gone. The parents, I mean, my God, the parents are psychotic. You know,
Well,
I know I have had
the
it out-
reason why you've never had to come to a yellow is one of the big flaws in referees, and you know them too because you know good refs, whatever. You're an exceptional one. If you missed a call, just say you missed it.
Yep.
Just say you missed it. There's no, you know, even if the like the coach Chewbacca's a little bit chewy, it's all right. So that you get a little bit of that, but the trust system
Right.
and just saying I missed it instead of just doing this when someone that's been coaching long enough knows damn well you guessed. You guessed. You felt like you had to make a call and stick with it.
Right.
One of my least favorite things, and I'm glad I got a ref here because I could talk to you about it. Look, I had Dave Carson on before, and he's been fantastic, which we got to talk about later. One of my least favorite things is when a ref misses a call but tries to make up another call so they could be right.
Girls talking about make up a call for the other team.
For the other team. For example, a girl's jousting. She's back row,
Okay.
right? And I'm like, that player's back row, a ref. Some refs in their ego. The typical protocol is she wasn't above the height of the net when it happened. And my argument is like, if she jousted, some part of her hand and some part of the ball is above the
net.
and you gotta get off the pot. You gotta
Right.
call set interference if she
Right.
tried to set it, right? Or you call back row attacker.
Yeah.
But this whole I don't know, moving the goalposts so everyone could be happy. Just say I changed the call. The man's right. I didn't notice he's back row or whatever and this and that,
Yeah.
right? There was another call. I was trying to get the ref's attention. There was a girl who jump set. She back row set, right? Back row. And she set like a height and it was an
Above the height of the
overset.
net. Yeah, okay.
No, but it was an
Oh,
overset.
for a
It wasn't a
back
jump.
one.
So she jump set, like back set. And her back set sailed over the net, and my girls basically took it, caught it, threw it, and hit the net on the follow through. And the ref was like, and I asked the ref what the call was. He's like, take your pick, carry or net. And I'm like,
Carry is the
but
call.
I said, carry's the call, but what comes first?
The carry. Oh,
The back row
over
setter.
the back row setter over the net.
And it was an argument, a legitimate argument
It
that
was.
should have said the ref say, hey, you're right.
Yeah.
Wasn't trying to hear it.
Yeah. He should have replayed it.
Yeah.
Depending, he should have replayed it.
On its worst legs, it should have been a
Yeah,
replay.
should have replayed.
Because maybe both happened at the same time. That's right. So,
Yes.
so referee.
It's always
so if
the
the
very
back row
first-
set, the illegal back row set, and the carry or net happen, is that one of those things where it is a replay because they happen? The violation happened at the same time.
No, because the minute that she goes into the back row set and touches the ball, the ball's dead.
Got it.
Yeah. So I mean, we actually had to we take this 100-question test, and it's the same thing. Like, hey, there's I forget how it went. There's a service, but
Right.
the other team is out of rotation. What's the situation? And the situation is that there was no rotation violation because she line faulted.
Right.
So, but everybody always answers, "Oh, they were out of rotation," but
Educate me. Which one of the chicken or the egg on that one? Which one is the illegal first?
the illegal is the stepping on the line, because there was the play never started. The minute she stepped the line to serve, it ended. So, had the play begun, it's a weird thing to say, but yes, they were out of rotation. But that normally has to come from the desk.
Wow.
Like as the R2, they're going to tell me, "Hey, we're out of rotation," and I'll stop the play later. I've seen a lot of refs. Yeah, so that would be on the foot. The minute the foot hits the line, boom, there's the call. You're done. No out of rotation. Point. Team A. And it's
Wow.
It can be fun. It can be fun. It can be trying. We get tired, and there are a lot of older people that are doing it. A lot of people are just doing it for the money. The money's not so good. I mean, what do you make? $30 a match? That's, if I make $200 for a 7-hour day, I'm lucky. I just did it to become better.
It is exhausting.
Exhausting.
It's exhausting. It's more exhausting than playing.
Everybody hates you.
Yes.
No matter what
not
you
to
do.
mention that, but like physically standing in one spot,
Awful.
having to climb your ass back and down occasionally, it is more exhausting and taxing on your body than playing the sport could ever be.
I've got plantar fasciitis. Especially at the R2, that's a whole nother level of
because you have more responsibility.
Well, it's not only that, but then if you get yourself an R1 who, I've got 20 years experience, but, and I'm moving back and forth, so all of a sudden I'm hearing, well, you need to be making the call from the side of the infraction, but the game's moving really quick, so I'm just trying to pop the call and get it moving, but you get those people. So I just had one this weekend. You California wrestlers are the worst. I'm from Arizona. In Arizona, we do it right. So
you don't even have the right ball, for Christ's sakes. You see the
right.
ball they were playing with?
Right.
Good Lord, what was that?
It was a Christian league that I was doing. It was all Filipino, Hawaiians. I don't know, but it was some ugly volleyball. And she just had to have it. She slowed our match down to the point where it was a crawl. And I'm like, come on. And now she just had to get it all right. And, I just, you got to keep the game moving. You got to let the players have fun. If the players are not having fun, then we all need to leave.
Yeah.
And that's something I also told the team this week.
Yes.
I said, if you're not having fun, we're leaving. And they're like, what do you mean we're leaving? I'm like, if any of you are not having fun, we can leave. And it goes back to my commitment with my children. When Jacob started football, I sat him down. He had to have been like 11 years old. No friends, no football, no friends, no parties, no weekends, nothing. This is it. I'm gonna give you 100% of my time. I'm gonna coach you.
He's about that life. Okay.
So when Madison came along, she had watched Jake, and I did the same thing. But now Madison's 2 years younger because we're starting younger and younger. By the time I got to Audrey, when I sat her down on the bed, she was 8 years old, and I said, Audrey, listen, there's no friends that are more important than volleyball. There's no birthdays, holidays, vacations. Everything is surrounded to the commitment that you and I are going to make to each other. I commit to be here for you. I commit to take care of the money situation for you. I commit to being the best parent I can and never causing you problems and giving you everything I have. Will you commit to this? And the minute they say yes, we're on. And a lot of parents don't understand that. Like, you need to get that commitment from the child, because how many times do kids say, I'm tired, I don't want to work? And they can listen to Kobe, always in the gym. I was like, you got to be built different. The cup winner, the America's Cup, Connor.
Right.
You remember, he said champions are not normal. And they're not. And I made my children understand that.
Give me one normal. I'll wait.
Normal.
Give me one normal champion.
You're not normal.
No.
Your drive is so much, and people don't understand.
You have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have a little something other than that goes beyond normal or whatever. The most normal winner I've ever met was Dane Blanton. And only because he's on the other end. You're right. The journey of the ship and all the crazy moments where you had to be crazier to win.
Right.
You get to witness on film and this and that, but there's no inside edition where I had some camera following him around. And God, he came out on the other side. He still looks young, still good looking. He's he's a head coach at USC right now, their beach team, and he's the most normal one I've ever seen. And the other reason is I haven't seen his worst moments.
I'm sure.
Like I just showed you one of Karch's, right?
Right.
Todd Rogers, we can go on YouTube all day. Todd Rogers was like, in fact, let's do. But
these are better than the only ones I like better are the celebrating two earlies.
Yes,
I love those.
I had one called Volleyball Never Celebrate Too Early.
Oh yeah, one of my favorites.
In fact, I could look up one of those. But you're right. There takes a certain kind of
commitment.
Yes.
Mindset. Audrey sits at home and watches Misty May trainer videos. That's all she does for hours and hours on end. And we talk about it. We discuss volleyball. We're at the kitchen table. I've got the oranges out. I've got this out, and we're designing this, and I'm showing her everything, and she's actively working and listening, and Madison's working and listening. And
all right, here's a high school one. Let's
right.
take a look at this. All right, guys. So this is Hunter against Cardozo. So watch this. Watch the tip. It's going to be an outside set.
That's its antenna.
Caught the ball. Watch this. I'm going to go back. Now watch the outside set and watch the tip. Now you stumbled onto something unique. First, something I never even noticed, but it deserves its attention. Did that ball hit the antenna? We think it did.
I think it did.
But they're operating on the assumption it didn't.
Yeah.
It's kick.
Yeah.
And the ball that went over the net, the team was already celebrating, and
He caught
we
the
caught
ball?
it. Yeah, that's Cardozo High School in Queens against
Izzy caught a ball this
Hunter
weekend.
High School.
She lost it. She noticed it. She started crying. She started hyperventilating. She's just
hyperventilating.
hyperventilating.
She's
oh no, there's just full
like she had
tears.
croup.
She didn't know what to do. I'm like, I'm like, can you go? She's like, no. I'm like, wait. I'm like, okay, breathe. Yeah, look at me. Okay, we're gonna count to 10. And I'm breathing. So I sat there for a while. I'm like, okay, you good? You're good? Yeah, fine. I had some crazy situations. Oh my God. So, one of the girls on the team one of my middles had to go to the bathroom mid-set. I mean, important game. This is the last day. Like we don't have her. We're screwed. Okay. So I call over to the ref. I'm like, can I get a bathroom 3-minute timeout here? And he's like, no, it's got to be an injury timeout. So 2 other of my girls come up to me. One of them happens to be my daughter. And I'm like, okay, well, it's off, And Angela's like, well, I can fall over and and roll my leg, and you can get your timeout. And I'm like, no. Now I'm thinking I'm in collusion with these kids, right? Like, I can't do that. 2 minutes later, Angelica runs into the net, falls on top of my daughter, and my daughter comes up with the leg. I have no idea that the other kid takes off to the bathroom. These little boogers set it up around me, and so that I didn't know, and I'm following my daughter around.
And they're like, we want to know what part you played in this, and you're just like,
well, no,
but no one noticed it.
Everybody noticed it, but they didn't know. But it looked so real because Angelica's huge, falling on my little 5-foot skinny ass kid, and my daughter's crying and stumbling around. I'm like, can you go? I mean, walk it off.
She
I'm like,
did a little theater thing.
Oh my, full theater thing. Please, are we gonna get in trouble by SCBA?
What are they gonna do? Call the volleyball police?
I didn't do
go
it.
To police prison?
Right,
Get out of here.
the kids did it. That's what they did. So I mean, we had some fun this weekend. We had some fun. I wish you'd have been there.
I do.
I was terrified if Jason would have showed up. I was terrified. I was like, he's gonna see what I'm doing. He's just gonna.
He's
lose
like,
his mind.
dude, come here for a minute. What are you
Right.
doing?
Right.
Okay, let's take a look at the other Jason. This is what Jason was doing the same time.
Oh my God.
This is what Jason was doing the same time he was playing at a University of Hawaii. He was I think it was Versace or whatever, but I watched this 5-set semifinals against Penn State, which him and a left-handed player named Uvaldo Katz were just rocking out. So it's weird, right? I'm watching it at a bar, right?
I mean, he's sexy.
But I'm watching it at a bar. He is. I'm a little gay for him right now. Get out of here with that.
Come on.
But I'm at a bar, so what happens is I leave the bar. The bar is close to Times Square. So I go to Times Square to get on a subway station, and before I go down, there's a 50-foot billboard. It's him, and I'm like, I just came out of maybe Playwrights Tavern or something. I just literally just watched this guy playing the Final Four, and I'm like going in the subway station, and then he moved to New York.
So he was doing this while he was
Yes,
playing?
yes, dude. He tried to take the NCAA to the cleaners, man, because they were trying to say he wasn't allowed to profit from his likeness, and his argument was
That was not his sports likeness.
Right.
This was his physical likeness.
Well, his argument was no, this was there before Hawaii volleyball.
Yeah.
Like Hawaii didn't give me this job, right? Me playing for Hawaii did not give me this job. I had this job before I went to
my
Hawaii.
parents gave me this job.
Yes, yeah, he is. Yeah, he's dude, he's just when you, and as far as that's from the model perspective, okay? But from a volleyball nerd perspective,
Oh my God.
just when you think you're the biggest volleyball nerd, and I grew up in New York, there's not a lot of volleyball players. We're probably like 200 deep. Like as far as talented players, we're 200 deep in the tri-state area. So we all know each other. And we all think you think you're the only one around you that knows the sport, and you are. And then you come to the South Bay, it's like, all right, everyone plays volleyball, but I'm still a bigger nerd than them. They still ain't got nothing on me.
Right.
And then
You meet Jason.
you meet Jason. Then you meet J.O. All right, ready? Lightning round questions. And I got my horn set up.
I'm scared.
You shouldn't be. It's
All
not
right.
It's easy shit.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Favorite comedian?
He's dead. The Jewish, he's a Jewish guy. Yeah.
We'll go back to him.
Yeah.
Last-
Jackie Mason.
Jackie Mason. Nice. Last good book you read? Nice.
Last book.
What was the first one that came to your mind?
Once an Eagle
Nice.
by Anton Meyer.
Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Pool or beach?
Bit of both.
Nice. Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter?
Lord of the Rings, without a doubt.
Bourbon, vodka, or tequila?
Vodka, because you couldn't tell I was drunk until I was gone.
It's the Brooklyn way.
Yeah.
Favorite sport outside of volleyball?
Football.
Favorite action film star growing up?
I love Ryan Reynolds. I guess I'm a little late, but yeah, Ryan Reynolds, he's still my favorite now. I would definitely have to switch teams for him.
I go Arnold on that one.
Arnold, okay.
I gotta wait. We gotta hear the horn. Do I get the horn? Where's the horn? Perfect. That was supposed to stop us. So,
How many people say Jackie Mason?
oh my God, none.
Right?
A trailer load of Arnold's though. I guess I'm giving away my age, and like the Terminator, and then all the way up to like Kindergarten Cop to Jingle, all the way with Sinbad. The man's done True Lies. That's one of
True
my
Lies
favorite
was good.
Arnold with him and Jamie Lee Curtis. Remember that dance routine Jamie Lee did?
Yeah.
Ooh, my
I actually remember
goodness.
watching the first time seeing her.
Yes.
I was like, damn.
Trading Places.
Oh my God. I was like,
Right, Trading Places. She
Yeah.
says, by the way, she said, by the way, room and board is the only thing that
Right.
costs money. You sleep on the couch.
yeah, I was
Slam.
like, those are perfect.
Yeah, I'm like, let's rewind what she actually
Much-
said,
right.
because I didn't hear what
Right,
she
exactly,
said.
exactly. It was kind of like watching HBO when it first started, and you would catch a, be like, in New York, and it was on the box.
Well, we've officially became HBO. We mentioned in Jamie Lee's breast at the end.
Oh, Jamie Lee.
Jamie Lee, we love you. The Halloween, the original Scream Queen, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we are out of here. Instagram handle. Anyone want to know a little bit about you and the refereeing and stuff like that?
Mimoun67.
You got to come back because we got to talk about refereeing. We got to talk about checking with your league and rules
like
and stuff
this.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah, this is fun.
yeah.
Are we still recording, or are we just talking?
Yeah, no, we're still recording
Oh,
because
yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna
no,
go to
this
the
is
end.
fun.
I'm
No,
just
this
gonna
is
wrap
fun.
up and stay with me when
Yeah,
I
no,
hit
I
my
like
music.
this is my favorite.
All right. Hey, so David might love you guys, but I don't love any of you guys. In fact, I can't stand any of you guys. So for all of you at home, for all of you on your iPad, for all of you on your desktop, who runs the world? Old school, baby. Old school. From my man Dave. Say the last name. Mimoun. I'm Jason Debilius. And this is the Option Podcast, episode 180. Stay with me. I'm going to hit my music. We are out of here. Come check out the Option Podcast on OptionVB.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.